Body, welcome.
Good evening.
Call to order a regular scheduled October 22nd Board of Commissioners meeting. Welcome. First item of business tonight will be our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. I've asked Commissioner Jason Wunsch to lead us in our invocation tonight, and Gary Kennedy with our Inspections Department to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, please stand.
Bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this meeting tonight. Thank you for all who are present. Please be with our town commissioners tonight as we make important decisions that affect our town and community. Be with the speakers and presenters who are here tonight, who are presenting what they've come to say. And Lord, just be with our community as we continue to grow and thrive in this great town of Fuquay-Varina. And Lord, please be with our neighbors in Western North Carolina who are still trying to recover from such devastation. We love you. We need you. In your name we pray. Amen.
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 Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both. Next item is our meeting protocol. At this time, I ask that Town Manager Mitchell review the meeting protocol for public participation as it relates to this meeting. Adam, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, board members. It's good to be with you tonight. Tonight's town board meeting is both in person and live streamed on the town's YouTube channel and Facebook page. Tonight's meeting contains a public comment period and public hearing items tabled from a previous meeting. The public is invited to comment in person. When it is the appropriate time, Mayor Massengill will call on those wishing to address the town board. All attendees that have appeared in person to address the town board during the public comment period should provide your name and address on the green registration sheet by the podium prior to the public comment period beginning. All attendees that have appeared in person to address the town board during a scheduled public hearing should provide your name and address on the white registration sheet by the podium. We ask all those wishing to address the town board either during a public comment period or a scheduled public hearing to begin their comments by clearly stating their name and address for the public record. The public is asked to keep all comments to 3 minutes so that all that wish to speak may be heard in a timely manner. To be respectful of those that may have different views on matters addressed by the town board, we ask that all in attendance respect the decorum of the meeting by refraining from clapping, making loud noises, and generally showing support or displeasure for comments made during the public comment period or public hearing process. Police Chief Smith will be asked to escort from the boardroom anyone not respecting the process, and it is the discretion of the mayor as presiding officer of this meeting to continue the public comment and or public hearing period if the meeting protocol is not followed. And this concludes the protocol for tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Adam. Next item of business is the approval of minutes from the October 7th, 2024 Town Board of Commissioners regular scheduled meeting. Any changes or additions to the minutes? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Mayor Massengill, I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
We have a motion.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. First item tonight is a presentation, item 4A, a proclamation for Fire Prevention Day, which is this Saturday, October 26, 2024. And so those of you that may not be aware in the room, this coming Saturday at Fire Station Number 1 in Fuquay-Varina, our fire department has a fire department open house, and it's for Fire Prevention Day. And this is a great event. It's from 10 to 2 this Saturday. There will be tons of equipment out there, family fun, activities at the fire station, fire safety to be learned about, a tour of the fire station equipment, how it operates. There's something there for everybody, not just kids, but adults too. You can put on some of the equipment. You can even run a fire hose. You can see the inner workings of a fire station, how it operates, and get to see what happens behind the scenes, and at the same time understand the training and professionalism that our fire department does. And so they work very hard for this event, putting it together and opening up the people's house, which is their house that they use for the fire station, but where they reside at most of the time when they're on duty, and opening up their house for the people and It is really a great, great event. Chief, first of all, thank you for your department continuing to put this on every year. It means a lot to our community, and anyone that's not attended, please go do that. If you have friends, family, children, grandchildren, they will have a ball there. I promise you. You will have a great time, and it's a great way to spend a Saturday. The weather's going to be great, Chief. You did a great job ordering that up, making sure just what you needed was going to happen, and so very excited for that this year. And so that being the case, I would like to read this proclamation. Whereas the town of Fuquay-Varina is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our town. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at a great risk from fire. And whereas education is the key to preventing fires and saving lives and property. And the town of Fuquay-Varina firefighters are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas throughout the year, the town's firefighters use community outreach programs to educate the public about installing and testing smoke detectors, preparing and practicing a home fire escape plan, cooking and candle safety, and numerous other preventative fire safety measures. And whereas for more than 25 years, the Fuquay-Varina Fire Department has dedicated one Saturday in October to educating citizens about fire safety and prevention, providing station tours, and engaging citizens. Now therefore, I, Blake Massengill, Mayor of the town of Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina, proclaim October 26th as Fire Prevention Day in Fuquay-Varina and call upon the people of Fuquay-Varina to attend the Fuquay-Varina Fire Department's open house at Station 1 from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. to learn about fire prevention and safety, and for residents to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. Two final comments I want to mention about the fire department I wish I had mentioned earlier is that they are also rated based on response times and fire safety, and so that affects your homeowner's insurance along with commercial property insurance. And so I'm proud to say that our fire department has the absolute best rating that they can possibly receive, and that in turn saves our citizens money on their insurance, because insurance ratings are based on the fire department's rating right there. And Fuquay-Varina is also the #1 safest town in North Carolina, and that makes a difference for response times, medical that's provided, and also at the same time having the equipment needed right there. So Chief Jones, would you mind standing up for anybody in the room that doesn't know who you are? So I'd like to point you out. Chief Jones, thank you and your department for what y'all do. Next item of business, item 4B, Economic Development Marketing Video. More information about this agenda item will be presented by Communications Director Weiss. Susan, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. So it's exciting that I get to present a new video to you all. Where focus meets vision, that's Fuquay-Varina. That's the theme of our new economic development video that takes viewers on a tour of the city's diverse business landscapes, featuring notable companies such as John Deere, the Bob Barker Company, Apex Instruments, Aviator, and others that have chosen Fuquay-Varina to do business. This project, the one you're about to see, is a collaboration between the town and Amazing Studios, who helped bring the town's economic development story to life in video. And as you preview this, you're going to see a lot of businesses that have been featured, and we are enormously thankful to the businesses that allowed us to come into their businesses and film. A lot of them talked with us and told us why they chose Fuquay-Varina as their home for business and why others should choose Fuquay-Varina as a place to do business. The video will be used by our Economic Development Department as a tool in attracting new businesses, and specifically for site selectors as a tool to help sell, I guess, Fuquay-Varina is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, without further ado, I think it's time for the drum roll and that sort of thing, and we'll let you see it. How's that?
What if you could bring your big idea here?
Where innovation is nurtured.
And every success story matters. Because here, you're not just a business, you're a big deal.
A place where opportunity meets community, where businesses thrive, and where our focus is creating a vision. In this hidden gem, industries like BurkTech and CCL Label are paving the way, showing what's possible when vision meets action.
Fuquay-Varina is a great place to work. When we moved here, it was only about 3,000 people, but it has grown tremendously. We were able to get good people to work with. We have thoroughly enjoyed being here. Just a perfect opportunity for us.
With renowned companies like TE Connectivity and John Deere, our town is proving itself as a hub for innovation and manufacturing. Apex Instruments, South Bend. The diverse economy of Fuquay-Varina supports a wide range of industries.
Fuquay-Varina is located right near Wake Tech Community College, which provides us with great quality people. There's a lot of great breweries and local restaurants and a lot of great beer drinkers.
Our business ecosystem and craftsmanship is thriving. Companies like Aviator Brewing, Super Droid Robots, and Bob Barker Company show our strength and diversity. And it's not just about business. Fuquay-Varina invests in public amenities like parks, trails, and recreation centers, enhancing the quality of life for everyone.
There is really genuine support here and an authentic sense of community that makes it exceptional. It's really one of the best places I can imagine to start or to grow a business.
It has a great work-life balance.
Located close to the 540 Exchange, with access to major universities like NC State, UNC, Campbell, and Duke, and just 32 minutes from the RDU Airport, Fuquay-Varina is perfectly positioned for growth.
The town's commitment to modernizing infrastructure and simplifying permitting processes makes Fuquay-Varina a business-friendly environment ready for your next venture.
Fuquay-Varina is not just a place to live, but a place to thrive. A place where your business can grow and your dreams can become reality. So envision the future with us. Join us in Fuquay-Varina and be part of our exciting future, where focus and vision is Fuquay-Varina.
Well, very good, Susan. Thank you very much. This will, I know, be part of the tools that Economic Development Department, Jim, and your team can use to continue to recruit businesses and opportunities here around town to showcase what's going on. So video is very well put together. Any other comments from anybody? Okay. Next item on our agenda is item 4C, recognition of our inspections department staff. More information about this agenda item will be presented by Inspections Director Hennett. Chris, good evening.
Mayor, board members, glad to stand in front of you to recognize members of the inspections department. One's gonna go, come up here, stand up. I got a crowd. Just stand whatever, when I call your name, just step forward so they can recognize you. So first one we recognized tonight or whatever is Graham Balcom. He was hired date was 05/09 of 22. Graham just passed his building level 1. He also holds a standard plumbing 1 and an electrical 1. And he has a probationary certificate in mechanical 1. So that's Graham. Next in line is Annabelle Olaval. Annabelle just, hire date was 4/11/2022. He passed his electrical level 2 recently. He also holds a standard building level 1, a standard plumbing 1, and a standard mechanical 1. And he has probationaries in the other fields as well. Next in line, Stephen Kerbinsade. Stephen Kerbinsade, his hire date was 04/11 of 22. He just recently passed his building level 1. And he also holds a standard plumbing level 1, a standard mechanical level 1, and a standard electrical level 1, and has probationary certificates for level 2s and the others. Stephen Webb. Stephen Webb's hire date was 08/29 of 22. Stephen just recently passed his building level 2. He holds a standard electrical level 2, a standard mechanical level 2, and a standard plumbing level 3. Of course, he has probationary certificates and the other ones or whatever until he gets to the 3. Next in line is Chris Thompson. Chris Thompson's hire date was 10/04 of 22. Chris just passed actually 2, plumbing level 2 and mechanical level 2. He currently holds a standard building level 2 and an electrical level 1. So he has probationary certificates in the other fields as well. Paul Wise. Paul Wise was hired October 11th of 2021, and he passed his building level 1 and his electrical level 1, and that gives him, along with the mechanical level 1 and standard plumbing 1, he holds all 4 level 1 certificates as well. Next in line is Justin Daniel. Justin was hired October the 18th of 2021. He just recently passed his building level 2. He also holds a standard electrical level 1, standard plumbing 1, standard mechanical level 1, but also probationaries and level 2s of each of those as well. Last but not least is Luann Moore. Her hire date was 05 of 09 of 2011. She passed her building level 1. This is a big help of whatever in the office wise for when we issue certificate of occupancies. They have to be signed by a building inspector. So Luann took it upon herself or whatever she wanted to take a building inspector's course and get it so she could sign CO so she doesn't have to depend on others, which I'm proud of her. Thank you. That's it.
First of all, thank y'all for taking the time to continue your education and continue getting certifications right there. You are protecting assets in Fuquay-Varina, ensuring that they are built to meet state building code. And that also plays a role in our insurance ratings I mentioned earlier in regards to our fire department. It also plays a factor on your inspections, how many inspections that you are having, how many you're doing, and the workload and the rate of passing and what certificate levels that y'all have too. So the citizens of Fuquay-Varina appreciate y'all. This board appreciates you continuing your education, be able to inspect that property and make sure everything's built in a safe and secure way. So thank you and congratulations. We'd love to take a picture with all of you. Action plan, phase 1 update. More information about agenda item will be presented by Kenneth Withrow, Campo Senior Transportation Planner. Kenneth, welcome to Fuquay-Varina.
Thank you all so much, and glad to be back here in town, and thank you for this opportunity to give this presentation. Before I go ahead and begin, I just want to say how this, what I'm presenting basically falls in line with the fire prevention in terms of safety, what we're trying to do in terms of improving safety for homes and businesses, as well as focus and vision. That's all combined in terms of terms as a part of this blueprint for safety. And so I'll go ahead and go into the presentation. So what I'm going to do is basically just give you an introduction as to what it's all about, what we're doing in terms of the phase 1 engagement, or where we had gone with regard to the phase 1 engagement. I have 2 questions for everybody that's here, particularly those on the council, that I'd like to ask. You don't need to answer them directly, excuse me, during the meeting, but something to think about. Excuse me. So why plan for safety? If we look at our region, which encompasses not only Wake County, but portions of Franklin, Johnston, Harnett, Granville, and Chatham County, between 2018 and 2022, there were over 195,000 total crashes on roadways in this area. Of that, there were 2,700 crashes involving drivers, passengers, bicyclists, and pedestrians, And of that, 654 people are no longer with us in light of those crashes. So that's one factor. And this basically is just a graphic or illustrations of those crashes that have occurred in this region. It's not only important to address this from a regional and local standpoint, but also from a national standpoint. So the Department of Transportation, United States Department of Transportation, through the bipartisan infrastructure bill, allotted funds basically addressing this in terms of safe streets for all. This is where local governments can basically apply for grants to look at how they can improve safety in their community. And one of the overarching things is once this is created for our region, towns such as Fuquay-Varina or Angier or as far north as Creedmoor and other locations can apply for grants knowing that there has been a defined plan created and get Safe Streets for All grants. The North Carolina Strategic Highway Safety Plan was just recently adopted. In fact, the consultant team that created the safety plan for the state of North Carolina is the same team that we utilize for our blueprint for safety. What I included in here just for your record is when we had gone around to our various meetings, I included a infographic basically showing what was occurring in Wake County. There was a poster for each and every county that we are that we plan within. And since we're in Wake County here, we note that there were more than of the 195,000 crashes, the majority, of course, based on our population, were in Wake County, which included 171,600. We also look at if you look at the various bar graph, along with the line within it, we see the movement of deaths in light of the serious injuries and crashes that have occurred in our region. And so that's a major concern. So one thing that's important to recognize is this is just not singularly regional for the Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. We're incorporating this in the Metropolitan Transportation Plan or the Long Range Transportation Plan for the region. We're working in conjunction with the Durham Chapel Carborough MPO and Central Pines Regional Council to put together this plan, which will be adopted by late 2025, early 2026. And within it, we have a goal to promote safety, health, and well-being. A traffic or a transportation safety plan must include these elements. It must be based on a vision and commitment. And I just talked about focus and vision as applied to economic development. Must be data-driven. Must be stakeholder-led, which includes not only you all as elected officials, but everybody in our community. It must be reactive, addressing what's occurring out on the streets as of today, but being proactive and envisioning what can be done to improve safety within the community. It must be multimodal, taking into account not only roads, but also bicycle pedestrian access, transit access, and other modes that are utilized. We look at, again, based on being reactive and proactive, we focus on short-term needs that may be immediate, that can be addressed as quick as it can, and then the long-term goals, because safety is something that we want to develop a culture of. It's just not a one-time fix. So what are the goals of the safety plan? We want to inform other regional efforts, so it's not just singular to safety and that's it. It must inform what we do on highways, what we do on at bus stops and on buses, items such as that. We want to increase the awareness of transportation safety and risks. We want to identify needs and recommended safety improvements, ensure consistency with the highway safety infrastructure plan, as well as USDOT's funding programs, and follow a safe system approach. While I'm addressing this as a capital area metropolitan planning organization item, There are other regional efforts that are going on right now, and we're working together on that process. As I mentioned, the Save Pines Regional Council, not only are they working with us with regard to the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, they also have a plan that they're creating involving safety. The Durham Chapel Hill Carborough MPO, which is our sister MPO to the west, they are creating a Vision Zero action plan at this time. It just begun just a few weeks ago. The City of Raleigh has begun their safety action plan, and that was late this past summer. And then Knightdale has a safety action plan that they have begun. So let's talk about engagement. We wanted to make sure that we reached and conducted outreach in as many platforms as possible, from the project website to social media, conducting town meetings as we're doing right now, involved in public engagement events, as well as, and I'll talk about this later, about the Safety Kickoff Summit. This online engagement is now complete, but this was the website that we utilized. We had it open throughout the summer, and we got a lot of input. I think over 800 responses we got through the process. And we're still going over that data. So let's talk about quickly the Regional Safety Summit. That occurred on March 14th. We had just begun the contract. And we wanted to introduce the region to the plan and what we were up to. We want to, most importantly, create a safety culture in light of the growth that's occurring in this region. We planned out engagement strategies, as we've just talked about. And during the meeting, we had small group discussions on how we can improve connectivity to allowing people to be involved in the process. So as I mentioned, being reactive, proactive, short-term, long-term planning. We note that it must be a top-down process from your elected officials down to the public, and it must be bottom-up, involving the public, providing comments to you all as local elected officials on, hey, this is what's occurring in our area in terms of safety. How can we improve it? And we want to note that everybody shares in that responsibility, must do their part. And we want to value the life of every individual as a part of every trip. And so again, based on the summit, we captured a lot of participation, and we want to make sure everybody's involved. So as I mentioned, local officials. We even have coaches, so those who are involved in training, particularly our youth, and those who are also even to the collegiate level, we want them involved. We definitely want emergency response and law enforcement involved, maintenance officials, inspections, parents, and of course, your main players would be NCDOT and the Capital Area MPO. During the spring, we had what were called technical advisory team meetings. This involved members of the community, that involved elected officials and others. And we had conversations across the region to address what's occurring in terms of safety and what can be done to improve safety. We didn't have one specific in Fuquay-Varina at the time, but we're going to talk about future technical advisory team meetings, and maybe we can have that in Fuquay-Varina. So these are the communities we mainly had them in during the months of May and June. And along with the public engagement piece, this shows you the toolkit that we utilize for people to access and get involved in the process with regard to the Blueprint for Safety. We had a series of public events. One of the big ones, where you see this picture here, is when we had the 540 Fest, which was back in June. Of course, we were expecting the opening of 540 to be even sooner, but it didn't happen. Happened in September. This is where people had come to see the highway, see what it was all about, and we were out there basically giving input and getting input as to what can be done for safety. And again, these are just some events. We've had them throughout the whole region, from as far west as Chatham County to as far north as Oxford as far south as, Campbell University, where we had an event as far as a street fair. And again, one of the events we had was at the Logan's Nursery off of Holland Road here in Fuquay-Varina. And so here are the two questions I want to pose for everybody. What are safety issues observed, both infrastructure and behavior, in your community? Something to think about. And what stands out and is different related to roadway safety for this community as compared to the larger region? Fuquay-Varina is a great place to live, great place to thrive, great place to grow up in, and it is part of the Triangle is noted places as one of those livable communities. As Triangle is an attractive place and is drawing people here, we want to continue to draw people here. Well, if they're going to be drawn here, we want them to be safe and comfortable in what they can access in terms of transportation and other services. And so what stands out in terms of roadway safety here in Fuquay-Varina, and how does that compare to the region and what can be done to improve that? And so next steps, we had a presentation at the executive board meeting last week. We will have another presentation as well in coming months. We're in the phase 2 portion of this, and so one of the things we could look at if we were to, as we have our future technical advisory team meetings, is look at venues where they could be hosted, and if Fuquay-Varina is interested in us doing that, we'd be glad to do that. And of course, participation in the various town board, city council meetings. We are analyzing the data right now. So as a part of this phase 2, we should have final data analysis for you all to look at, I'd say in the next few weeks or early 2025. And we'd love to get your input as to what we're capturing and what we're seeing and what can be done to improve the safety in this region. And again, the players or the participants in this are the Capital Area NPO, of course, along with NCDOT, and below are the various project managers who are engaged in this process as well. Again, VHB has been in the forefront of doing this for the state and nationally, and we want to hire them, and they have been doing an excellent job with regard to this process. So thank you so much. Glad to be here, and have any questions?
Kenneth, thank you for coming here tonight, and thank you for your presentation. You know, Fuquay-Varina has had many intersections recently that we have improved, and as we designed those, Matt's team has made sure to include safety factors on there to how to make them safer moving intersections. And we got several other intersections that are getting ready to start improvement and more coming, and those staff continues to try to keep heavy reliance on moving traffic, but also how they can move traffic safer, less accidents, helps keep traffic moving faster right there. The biggest comment I would say with Campo and with DOT, how we can stay safe and get more stuff done is just Campo and DOT send all their money down here. The more money they send down here, the more projects we can get done, and always improve that. But in all seriousness, thank you for coming here tonight, and appreciate your information.
Mr. Mayor, I have one
Questions?
question.
Go ahead,
Just
Commissioner
one
Harris.
question. I know you participate. You had various communities throughout the county participating and welcome you in, and you also mentioned about grants. Receiving a grant award is a requirement that we, as a community, participate as the other communities participated. Does that give us an advantage if we apply for grants?
So let me ask this question as I'm hearing it. Basically, if this was the umbrella plan once it's created,
yes.
If you were to apply for a grant, and if another community in the region were to apply for the grant, would it be a?
Would they have an advantage because we haven't participated, or is it to our advantage, other than the fact that we want to participate and make sure people are safe? But as far as receiving a grant award, is it to our advantage to participate as other communities have participated?
Yes, it's to your advantage, and one of the good things about that is we have a number of communities that have done this. One is the town of Apex, they've done theirs.
Okay.
Others, Raleigh, Nightdale have done theirs as well. There'll be some others coming along. So the more we do this, this will be a good thing for the those who are reviewing the grants to see that this is a major concern for the capital area metropolitan region. Let's make it more favorable as compared to another part of the country.
Okay.
So you don't want to be competing against yourself because you're not, because basically if the umbrella is created for Campo, the advantage is there's no real advantage between whether it's
Tim Gardner.
Is it easy for us to get some of the data and the statistics for our particular part of this region?
Well, once the data has been reviewed, we'll be able to share that data with you to let you know what was captured in this region. So for example, the I-40 Festival in particular, there was a lot of data that was captured there from the residents who were in the area. So we'll have that survey data, but also we'll be able to cull through the data as it pertains to Fuquay-Varina. Whether it depends on how many ways we can cut it. We can cut it southwest area, we can do northeast area. There are many ways in which we could look at it, but if you want specifically Fuquay-Varina data, that can be available.
I think it would be helpful to know where we stand right now to help determine where we want to go, where we need to go forward.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Thank you, Kenneth, very much for your information.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is the public comment period. At this time, the town clerk will call on individuals that are in attendance and have registered to address the town board prior to the meeting. Public comment period is a time for the public to address the town board about any matter that is not the subject of a scheduled public hearing. Those speaking are asked to begin by clearly stating your name and address for the public record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or that all who wish to speak may be heard in a timely manner. Teresa, do you have anybody signed up?
We have one person, Kelly Queering.
Kelly, welcome. If you need a good barber in town, she has a great business.
Why, thank you. All right, my name is Kelly Queering, and my address is 1509 Western Court in Fuquay-Varina. I thank you for the time to speak today. I believe y'all are going to be discussing the downtown generational plan later and the adoption of it, so hopefully I'm speaking at the right time. But I am here as the chair of the Fuquay-Varina Downtown Association to express our gratitude and support of the generational plan and the intent behind it. The Downtown Association was incorporated as a nonprofit over 30 years ago with the intent to highlight our historic downtowns and develop a culture that values shopping local and supporting its local small business owners. We strive to create an environment that also drives people downtown and enhances their quality of life, while also into the shops of those that have invested in our downtowns. Much has changed in 30 years since our nonprofit came together, and much will change in the 30 years to come. We still have active individuals that were involved when the Downtown Association was established, and they are ecstatic to see this document finalized, as it ensures that the hard work they've done over the years to keep our downtown evolving and staying relevant will continue to live long into the future. We understand that the generational plan is a living document and that may change as opportunities arise or don't. And more importantly, we just appreciate that it's a promise from the town that they too see the value in supporting our historic downtowns, and that all future board members that join and come and go will share in this vision and have a roadmap already laid out to allow them to take action when it's found to be beneficial. This keeps downtown Fuquay-Varina in the frame when budget discussions are had and on the forefront of the town as it plans for the future. We appreciate all the man hours that came from our town employees when working with McAdams and collecting information to provide the basis for the generational plan. And equally, we are thankful for the public feedback and citizen input that helped shape it into what it's become. So the Downtown Fuquay-Varina Association looks forward to continuing our role in helping it become a reality as time goes on if you adopt it. Thank you all.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for your participation and involvement in Fuquay-Varina Downtown Association, too. Tracy said that's it? Yep. Public comment? Okay. Public hearings are a time for the petitioner to present his or her request and for the public to give input and voice their favor or opposition to the request. If you wish to speak and are physically in attendance, please step forward to the podium one at a time, provide your name and address on the registration log at the podium, and clearly state your name and address for the public record. We ask all of those addressing the town board to please limit your comments to 3 minutes or that all who wish to speak may be heard in a timely manner. Items tabled from previous meetings. Item 6A, developer agreement, Town of Fuquay-Varina and D.R. Horton Incorporated, Vaughn Park Mixed-Use Development Project. More information about the agenda item will be presented by Planning Director Davison.
Thank you.
Good evening, Pam.
Good evening. I am submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official records of the town. The Vaughn Park Mixed-Use Project comprises approximately 88 acres and proposes to build 336,000 square feet of non-residential commercial space and 742 residential apartments, townhomes, cottages, and row home units. As part of the project's rezoning, REZ 2023-05, you'll be seeing tonight, the developer has agreed to enter into a developer agreement that defines the project's commitment to prioritizing non-residential commercial uses. As per the agreement, the developer may construct all the residential uses on the east side of Judd Parkway, including the cottages, townhomes, and row homes. Before construction of the residential units on the west side of Judd Parkway, the developer must commit to starting construction on a minimum of 30,000 square feet of non-residential commercial development. The minimum square footage may be in one or multiple buildings. As an obligation under the agreement, the town affirms that it has sufficient water and sewer capacity to serve both the project's residential and non-residential components, and the town has agreed to provide water and wastewater utility allocations for all 150 cottage units. Also, as a condition of the development agreement, the developer agrees to pay a payment in lieu for improvements to complete an off-site connection to Barton Street. The suggested motion tonight is to approve the development agreement between the town of Fuquay-Varina and D.R. Horton for the construction of the Vaughn Park Mixed-Use Development Project as presented and recommended and is subject to rezoning and annexation approval. I'm available for any questions.
Pam, I know that you've staff's worked hard with the petitioner on this agreement. I know it had a couple continuations, but everything's been ironed out now and coming here tonight with positive recommendation, correct?
Sure do.
All right. Thank you very much for both your hard work and developers' hard work and the neighbors' involvement on this project. No questions from staff at this time. We'll open our public hearing. Hearing is now continued. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the developer agreement?
Good evening.
John, good evening.
Mayor Massengale, Mayor Pro Tem Gardner, Commissioner Harris, Commissioner Haynes, Commissioner Wunsch, and Commissioner Adcock. My name is John Adcock with the Adcock Law Firm located at 202 East Academy Street. I represent D.R. Horton regarding the development agreement and the rezoning. Up to this date, Vaughn Park is proposed to be the largest and most complex mixed-use development in Fuquay-Varina's history. The almost 90-acre project includes 7 different residential use types and 336,000 square feet of non-residential space allocated across 6 vertical mixed-use buildings and 9 standalone commercial buildings. The complete build-out of this project will take years and will be an investment of hundreds of millions of dollars. The project is completely consistent with and will implement the vision of the town of Fuquay-Varina as evidenced by the 2040 Community Vision Land Use Plan. Furthermore, Vaughn Park is the first project of its size and magnitude to implement the town's commercial mixed-use zoning standard that requires a minimum of 50% of the developable land to be committed to non-residential uses. Over 39 acres of this project is dedicated to non-residential uses compared to 34 acres being dedicated to residential uses. The long-term success of Vaughn Park for the developer and the town is dependent on the non-residential land uses being successful. The development agreement before you tonight is the product of extensive and cooperative negotiations between D.R. Horton, its commercial development partners, town staff, and town management. This agreement was negotiated within the context of the town's firm policy commitment to increase commercial development and to avoid mixed-use projects failing to timely produce a commercial component. At no point has D.R. Horton or any interested party to this agreement disagreed or objected to the town's policy objectives. With an almost 90-acre project, over half of which is dedicated to non-residential uses, D.R. Horton wants to support the town's policy objectives, and we are confident that Vaughn Park does just that. The length of the negotiation was due to finding an agreed-on means to implementing the policy, a means that allows for consideration of current and future conditions of the commercial real estate market. We know that the town has strategically positioned itself for new commercial development, but that alone will not dictate private commercial real estate investment decisions. The market matters. From D.R. Horton's perspective, it is critical that the obligations imposed by this agreement contemplate the current and future condition of the commercial real estate market. The agreement reflects a commercially reasonable effort to promote the long-term success of Vaughn Park and the town's policy objectives of increasing quality commercial land uses and avoiding mixed-use projects failing to provide commercial uses. The development agreement has 6 main components. First, the developer will construct all of the residential uses on the east side. This promotes the success of Vaughn Park and the town's policy objectives in 2 ways. It allows for revenue from the east side residential uses to potentially be invested into the non-residential uses. It also brings additional residential uses in close proximity to the proposed commercial sites and greatly enhances the marketability of the commercial properties. Second, prior to commencing with the construction of residential uses on the west side, the developer will be required to commence with vertical construction of at least 30,000 square feet of non-residential uses. This may be in the form of 1 or more buildings. Mixed-use developments are harder to execute successfully because it's inherently more complicated and physically and economically compared to traditional types of development. Mixed-use developments, particularly those like Vaughn Park, that are heavily dependent on commercial or retail components, are more susceptible to market volatility. Economic downturns or shifts in consumer preferences can impact the profitability and occupancy rates of commercial and retail spaces. This non-residential construction commitment is an agreed-on method of promoting the town's policy objectives and allowing the developer flexibility in addressing the inherent challenges of a large-scale mixed-use development and fluctuating market conditions. This commitment, this 30,000 square feet commitment, is also in addition to the extensive site work and capital improvements that will come along with this development the developer will be paying for. Third major component of this agreement that is in the event the non-residential construction commitment is composed of speculative buildings, the developer agrees to prioritize the location of such buildings at the focal point of the project. This is a significant commitment by the developer. Constructing speculative buildings on the most visible sites potentially runs the risk of losing a commercial end user with specific building requirements that desires one of these high visibility sites. The fourth component is the developer agrees to provide a payment in lieu for an off-site improvement, the completion of Burton Street. The fifth component, the town agrees to provide a complete utility allocation for the cottages on the east side. This is a critical commitment by the town that promotes not only the residential piece of this project, but greatly enhances the prospects for the commercial development. The sixth major component of this agreement is the policy for utility allocation is solidified for this long-term project. For a project of this scale and duration, this commitment allows the town and the developer to carefully coordinate allocation of public utilities. All of these 6 components are consistent with the purpose and intent of a development agreement and promote the long-term success of Vaughn Park and the town's policy objectives. The development agreement gives reliable local government approval to Vaughn Park. It sets the conditions that must be met. It commits the developer and the town to meeting those conditions and sets out the enforcement mechanisms for the parties to this agreement. I also want to point out that there's been a lot of focus on the 30,000 square foot non-residential commitment, and rightfully so. But this is a huge commitment by the acquisition of 90 acres of land, the development of 90 acres of land, including the site grading, the site improvements, the capital public improvements that come along with that, So when you consider this agreement, I hope that you will look at the totality of this project. We've spent a lot of time negotiating about this non-residential commitment, and it's been agreed upon. But this project in and of itself is a huge commitment and project for the town of Fuquay-Varina. It's long-term. This is a long-term project. This is not a 1 or 2 year thing. This is going to take a lot of time. And also consider the location of where this is. This Vaughn Park is going to create a commercial district. Unlike some of the other proposals you've seen recently, which were great projects, but those projects are in close proximity or within existing well-established commercial districts. Vaughn Park is creating a commercial district where there's nothing there now. Well, there's things there now, but it's raw land. And that part of, as I say, D.R. Horton is trailblazing in East Wilburn because it's bringing together development from a residential and commercial standpoint into an area that is outside a well-defined commercial district. So I'd appreciate if you take those matters into account. As evidenced by the signed development agreement in the agenda package, D.R. Horton and the landowners agree to the terms of the development agreement and respectfully request that you approve the development agreement. Thank you for your consideration of this matter, and please let me know if I can address any questions.
Thank you, John, very much for your comments. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of the developer agreement? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to?
There's one rising.
Okay, if anybody else would like to speak in favor, please come forward. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Lisa Lau. I live at 305 Raven Glen Drive. Initially, I sat through a meeting in which I was told don't bother to go because the public's voice and opinion doesn't matter, but I went anyway. I listened to a plan that would directly affect my neighborhood as it's adjacent to where I live, and I had tons of concern for the safety value and privacy of my neighborhood. The concerns that I had, as well as my neighbors' concerns, were voiced and all directly addressed by the builder. They listened to us. They responded with changes and modifications to their current plan that included rectifying many of the concerns we voiced. They listened to our feedback, and I was so happily surprised that our voices and concerns were heard and met with positive changes from the builder, even going as far as adding additional measures that were not mandatory to their plan. D.R. Horton's willingness to listen, communicate, and then act accordingly, modifying their project plans to ensure our needs are being met, have been exceptional and have far exceeded any expectation. I then sat through a second meeting where myself, my neighbors, and the community all spoke in unison of approval of the proposed project by D.R. Horton with all of these great new measures in place. I also witnessed the town board's extreme objection to D.R. Horton's proposed plan that they had previously agreed upon, stating that although not required, they were recommending further changes by D.R. Horton to the developer's agreement and refused to listen to anything until those changes were met. Again, I need to emphasize that these were not required changes. They were more stated as suggestions, but the suggestions had to be met or else they weren't willing to listen. And that was, in my opinion, blatant bullying by the town board and made it quite evident that they were doing everything they could to get this project denied. D.R. Horton came to a joint conclusion with the town, again, to only sit at the next public hearing and not be able to say a word, as the town once again tabled everything to do with this project, as they had more quote-unquote not required demands or suggestions they wanted met. D.R. Horton and the commercial developer have jumped through hoops to make the Vaughn Park project exceed every standard that the town has thrown at them. Myself and everyone I have spoken to about this project are in complete agreement with them and are in favor of this project to be approved. And I hope you hear us loud and clear on where we stand. This is something that is very beneficial for the long term of Fuquay, and it's something that the people in the neighborhood want. And we're just really confused why the town is opposing it so much. So I'm in approval of this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Does anybody else wish to speak in favor of the developer agreement?
There's someone coming.
My name is Brian Derricott. I live at 487 Walker Ranch Drive. I'm in favor of this. I can see it from my front porch. So it will directly impact me, my family, my kids, and my neighbors. Lisa lives down the street. Kind of the same things we're talking about, like we see the goalposts as a continual moving. I was very excited to see that they are, looking to approve it. Their recommendation really, that changed from last planning meeting. It was like all the other people were saying, this is the project that Fuquay wants. This is everything we need, but the assistant town manager shut it down. And it was just, as a citizen, I don't come to these things very often. And it was very disheartening, honestly. And just to go back, D.R. Horton has done above and beyond what we've even thought or wanted. At first, I was kind of in opposition, but after hearing what they had to say and hearing what they've came back to, I couldn't ask for anything better coming in beside my neighborhood for the community. And also, like, the Vaughns are just held hostage by this while they're trying to move on with their lives while their property's in limbo. So I feel like we owe it to the Vaughns and D.R. Horton to push this thing through. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of the developer agreement?
Hi, Commissioners and Mayor Massengill. My name is Jamie Schneider, and my address is 300 Raven Glen Drive in Fuquay-Varina. I am happy to see that this project is able to be discussed tonight and that it hasn't been tabled for another meeting. You all may know me from the email that I sent to you regarding what happened at the October 7th board meeting. I wanted to thank you, Mr. Adcock, for your email response back. I appreciate that. Mr. Massengill, I thank you for the phone call that you made to me where you shared your perspective on the many events that have transpired in the progression of this project with your town staff. This project that the developer has brought to Fuquay is an amazing opportunity, and I honestly have struggled to see why there seems to have been such resistance to it. I can understand the importance of holding to what is written and what's required by town laws, but it's also extremely important to have the willingness to negotiate on issues that are being arbitrarily required. I'm extremely grateful, as my one neighbor said, to D.R. Horton and the developer for their hard work on this and for their willingness to meet the town's required line in the sand that has continued to move a couple times. The developer, as Brian said, listened to our concerns and surrounding neighbors regarding this project and have taken measures at their own cost to resolve them. That speaks volumes, and I truly hope that you as commissioners and mayor recognize that. I feel that we are extremely lucky to have this opportunity to develop such an amazing venue of this caliber here in Fuquay-Varina. I will often go and meet family in Fenton, in Cary, or in North Hills because the venues were so well designed and so well planned, and they have so much to offer. There's something for everyone. I feel it'd be a great thing if we could keep that revenue and keep that business right here in our own town. I respectfully ask that you would all vote in favor of this project and continue making our little town an amazing place to live. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of the developer agreement? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the developer agreement? The hearing's now closed. We'll move into board discussion. I want to address a couple points that have been brought up from conversation and comments that were made right here. This is the first time that the board has had any discussion on this here tonight. So to say that the board has shut something down each time, that's not been the case. What has been the case is that town staff carries out direction by the board with plans in Fuquay-Varina. A land use plan that was unanimously approved by this board sets a plan out in the town of where we see what this board elected by you wants to see, what type of growth that our citizens are asking where in our community. And just as the petitioner mentioned earlier, this plan does meet that right there from a zoning standpoint of where in town a mixture of commercial and residential, about half and half right there. And that is a great opportunity right there. Where the conversations was the timing of commercial and assurities that it was to be built. And what we've had some issues from our citizens is that citizens have become very upset when they have seen projects be approved and no commercial was touched or built at all, and come back later and comments have been made to this board that why are you approving large scale residential developments with no commercial, without any commercial being required to be built. And so a developer agreement is not a zoning condition, but it's a negotiation between the developer, the petitioner, and staff carries that out for the board, and then they make a recommendation on it, and it comes to this board. Ultimately, this board makes approvals or denials in regards to that. And this plan tonight does meet those. It brings the sureties at the commercial, the fencing that you mentioned in Cary right then, Jamie. I know we spoke on the phone right there, and I'm very familiar with that location there. And I think that's absolutely wonderful to have that kind of opportunity in Fuquay-Varina, and I am excited for this project right here. Staff had worked hard to have those kinds of sureties in there that what you citizens are expecting, that commercial does get built there, and the petitioner has voluntarily agreed to that, just as was mentioned, and so has the land sellers agreed, and everybody has worked on that. And so that was the issue right there in that agreement at that time. Everybody from a developer standpoint and the staff standpoint are in agreement on that, and we have a great plan here tonight. I am excited about what this project has to bring us here now. I know this project took a little bit, maybe longer than some residents were ready to see fit and get built and get Fuquay-Varina's version of fit and shop in there, Jamie, just as you mentioned right there. But this agreement here has now been brought forward here tonight, and so it's in front of us, and I am in favor of this project here tonight. And I do agree with staff, and I agree with the petitioner here tonight recommending approval of that, and I do recommend approval. Any comments by board members or thoughts from board members in board member discussion? Scott, you can fix that? Okay. All right.
I think you expressed it very well. We have in the past, from time to time, been disappointed when the intended and promised commercial component of a new project never came to be. And we're grateful for this wonderful opportunity and the assurances that have been brought with it. And I'm looking forward to talking about it tonight.
That's right. Any other further comments from board members? If not, we're
Mr. Mayor, I'm hearing the comments. I think it was stated it was a disservice to the petitioner, but also for us to rush a project of this magnitude would be a disservice to our citizens as a whole. And you have to remember, every time we make a decision on this board, we're making decisions for every single citizen in the town of Fuquay-Varina. So sometimes we might not rush it. Sometimes we might have to push it off to make sure that, we see residents on Grays Creek. We also saw residents in the Lincoln Heights community as well, making sure that both sides were being taken care of in the decisions before we made a decision of this magnitude. I mean, one of the questions I had was, with this magnitude of project, making sure that we have, to D.H. Horton's standpoint, making sure we had workforce housing for our citizens, our teachers, and our town employees, making sure that these properties would not be, over to where they can afford them as well. So when we make those decisions, it's not that we're putting off the town, putting off the decisions. We're really working hard, as well as the whole town staff has really worked hard. So don't think just because we prolong something doesn't mean that we really don't care about it. We really, really want to make sure this is a project that meets the needs. I mean, one of these key things that I've been talking about the whole time is make sure that that 42 and that Woodman Road corridor is not gonna be a commercial desert where we don't have any commercial properties or anything like that. So that was some of the things we were making sure, because, I mean, it's in the back of my neighborhood, as well as my church is on Woodman Road. So trust me, I've ridden that road a lot of times, so I wanted to make sure this project would meet the needs of all the people in that part of town. So that's why it might have took us a little bit longer, but I think now we have something that we're all confident in.
And I appreciate the tireless work that went in, that our management did, and also on both sides. I appreciate that to get to where we are right now. I think we're in a really good place, and as has been said by our other commissioners and mayor, it's a process. And in serving on the board for 9 years, I've seen where we have been promised things that have not been delivered, and so it was important to have an agreement that we could feel good about for all of Fuquay-Varina, and I think we're there. And so I appreciate both sides coming together to come to this point and get to where we are right now. It's a big deal for Fuquay-Varina, and I'm glad we're there.
Any further comments from board members? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the development agreement between the town of Fuquay-Varina and D.R. Horton for the construction of the Vaughn Park mixed-use development project as presented and recommended and subject to rezoning and annexation approval.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 6B, zoning map amendment, D.R. Horton, Inc., Vaughn Park, mixed-use development projects 0 and 0 and 801 and 809 and 813 and 817 and 825 and 829 and 833 Wilbon Road, REZ 2023-03. 3. More information about agenda item will be presented by Plan Director Davison. Pamela, when you give me that long line, I feel like I'm a judge at court reading off the docket, somebody about to go to jail.
You did it, though, all in one breath. I am submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents in the official record of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider a requested zoning map amendment for a total of 87.14 acres from the residential agricultural zoning district to the commercial mixed-use zoning district. This master plan is characterized by a mix of residential, office, commercial uses, activated open space. The maximum allowed density in the CMU zoning district is 10 dwelling units per acre with a minimum of 15 acres or 50% of the developable land being designated for non-residential uses. This master plan proposes a maximum density of only 3.94 dwelling units per acre for a total of 345 combined units and 39.15 acres or 50.21 for non-residential uses. 5% or 4.38 acres of activated civic spaces required in the master plan proposes 5.34 or 4.7 acres. The residential units include multifamily cottages, multifamily apartments, alley-loaded townhomes, row homes, and single-family detached homes. The 397 upper-level residential units in the vertical mixed-use buildings do not count towards the maximum allowable residential density. Activated amenities include playgrounds, a dog park, fire pit, shade structure with outdoor grills, pet way stations, an educational walk depicting the history of the Vaughn property. Sidewalks and trails are proposed throughout the development to link the recreational areas and provide multimodal circulation. In response to the adjacent neighborhood, the petitioner has committed to an enhanced buffer along the western edge of the property boundary and a 6-foot privacy fence, in addition to the required perimeter buffers around the entirety of the project. The proposed master plan layout is consistent with the land use plan's designation and supports several LUP policies. At the June 17th, 2024 meeting, the planning board, let me start over again. At the June 17th, 2024 meeting, the petitioner requested consideration of the zoning petition be tabled to the July 15th, 2024 planning board meeting, and again to the August 19th, 2024 planning board meeting. At the August 19th meeting, the planning board voted unanimously to recommend approval, but advised the petitioner to continue working with staff on the commercial prioritization before the town board public hearing. Since the August 19th, 2024 planning board meeting, the petitioner added a note to the master plan clarifying that the non-residential development shown is conceptual and that revisions to the commercial configuration and permissible uses will not require amendments to the approved master plan if they meet the applicable development standards and specific commitments included in the master plan. The petitioner also supplemented the conceptual residential elevations to demonstrate a commitment to architectural variety, materials, and colors. At the October 7th, 2024 regular meeting, the town board voted unanimously to table consideration until tonight, since the developer agreement you just approved was submitted. The suggested motion tonight is to approve REZ 2023-05 as a map amendment for 0, 0, 801, 809, 813, 817, 825, 829, and 833 Wilbon Road from the residential agricultural zoning district to the commercial mixed-use zoning district as it is consistent with the 2040 Community Vision Land Use Plan and reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the reasons identified by management and staff. I am available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Davison, very much. The hearing is now continued. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the zoning map amendment? What I will caution anybody who would like to speak, I think we're all completely on the same page, so you do not have to repeat everything, John, that was said earlier. We're on the
Understood,
same page,
Mayor.
Buddy. And same with anybody else. We clearly do understand that. But if you do, feel free to come up and say, I still support, which I would assume you still support too. So anyway, thank you, John. Go ahead.
Mayor, just want to speak to the process that we've been through. the town management and staff aggressively and vigorously supported your position, your policy that you want to implement. We respect that. We respect it the entire time. I have the utmost respect for each of you and for the town staff and management. That's government, right? We had back and forth, and we feel like that we've reached an agreement with the development agreement. I don't mean to digress, but I just want to make sure that you understand that we have great respect for the process that took place. It was tough, but sometimes good things result out of tough negotiations, and I think that's where we got what we've got. Regarding the rezoning, just briefly, again, I just want to emphasize that, and I'll just, when D.R. Horton came to me with this project to allow me to evaluate it and kind of give an idea of what I thought, this is well over a year ago, after going through the process the town went through a couple years ago with revising your land use plan and making revisions to the LDO, really emphasizing the need for more commercial development and also the mixed-use development types that you're looking for. And I told them, I said, guys, this checks all the boxes. I mean, this is, to me, based on, and I spent a lot of time in your land use plan, as you know, but I mean, I said, look, you're hitting all the boxes here. This is exactly what the town of Fuquay-Varina, in my opinion, has demonstrated that it desires for this site. It's a complex site. It's a complex project. It's large. There's a diverse amount of uses, and so, but it's a great project. We believe that the process of the negotiation and development agreement, along with the zoning, the master plan, I mean, that master plan, that is a serious document. I mean, it's very complex and a lot of work and effort by both town staff as well as the old Horton's design team has gone into that. So we would ask that you approve this rezoning. We think that it's a great project, and based on the information contained in the staff report, we believe that it's reasonable and in the public's best interest to approve this rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of the zoning map amendment?
Good evening, commissioners and mayor and staff. I'm very happy to say that we're here this evening. My name is Ann Oakley, and I work for D.R. Horton. I also live at 7113 Waltridge Place in Holly Springs, which is about 7 minutes from the location of this site. So I'll very much get to enjoy a lot of the things that I've been working on, which I'm very happy about. I'm not going to take a lot of time to repeat anything that John or Pam has said. I just want to take a brief moment to introduce the team that's been working tirelessly on this with me. Bob Zumwalt here is from BGE, and he's done the design work that you saw on the screen before you. Again, we also have Lyle Overcash here. He's been our traffic engineer. In the back there, you have Charles Persons. He's with our cottages, so if you have any questions about the cottages during this hearing, we're all here to answer your questions. We just would like to have your support on the project. That's it for me.
Thank you, ma'am. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of the zoning map amendment? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the zoning map amendment? The hearing is now closed. Any discussion by the board? If not, what's the pleasure of the board? I think go ahead.
Mayor, so moved.
So moved. That's what I was getting ready to ask for. Do we have so moved? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Well done, Commissioner Haynes. Item 6C, voluntary annexation petition, Ball, David W. trustee, Lynette S. Vaughn, trust for benefit of Gerald K. Vaughn, 0 and 0 and 801 and 809 and 813 and 817 and 825 and 829 and 833 Wilbon Road, ANX 2023-08. More information about the agenda item will be presented by Plan Director Davison. Pam, it's the last one of the night for you.
This is the last one. We're going to tie it up with a bow tonight. This combined acreage of 94.915 acres are both contiguous and non-contiguous to the town's corporate limits. Both town water and sewer are available to serve the property, and a fire flow test resulted in an adequate fire flow. Town sanitation and recycling services are available to serve the proposed residential lots in the development, however, will not serve the non-residential or multifamily portions of the development. At the September 17th, 2024 meeting, the town clerk certified that the petition was sufficient and met the requirements prescribed by the North Carolina General Statute, and the town board adopted a resolution setting a public hearing for the October 7th town board meeting. At the October 7th town board meeting, the town board voted unanimously to table consideration till tonight's meeting. The present value of the property being annexed is $6,575,387. The suggested motion tonight is to adopt the annexation ordinance to extend the corporate limits of the town of Fuquay-Varina to include property owned by the David Ball W. Trustee, Lunette S. Vaughn Trust, FBO Gerald K. Vaughn, Annexation 2023-08, as presented and recommended. Available for any questions?
I've got a question.
Mr. Adcock?
Okay, so this is where we're annexing into the town of Fuquay-Varina. This may be a silly question, but the residential properties here, do we have any idea what if their mailing address will be Fuquay-Varina?
I believe that, so that is obviously a federal post office thing, but I believe this section is in Fuquay-Varina technically.
Because I think some of the properties that are currently in there are Holly Springs addresses now, and I would encourage staff to very much push for these to be addressed as Fuquay-Varina.
Yeah, we can check. Again, that's a federal post office issue that we have run into challenges with before, but we can definitely look and see.
I think we'd look foolish if we had Holly Springs addresses inside Judd Parkway.
Yeah, my understanding generally is Holly Springs comes down to Wade Nash Road, but again, we can definitely confirm where those boundaries are.
All right. While I've got you, I'm thinking back in the development agreement, the developer agreed for a payment in lieu on Burton Street. Mm-hmm. What is the town's plan to spend that money?
So ideally, there would be a situation where this development will build a stub, and then the town would have an opportunity to go in and make that connection sometime in the future. We don't have a specific plan or schedule.
The intent is to connect Burton to this.
Ideally, there is a public right-of-way there that could be connected once the stub is built.
The intent is to make the connection, yes.
Okay. One of the things, the neighborhood, the Lincoln Heights neighborhood, we've talked about it on this board many times, that the infrastructure in the neighborhood is not up to par in a lot of situations. And one of the things, Cofield Street there was never completed either. And my encouragement, I think we've talked about it, would be if we could at the same time get Cofield Street done, get Burton Street tied in. I don't know, we had a gentleman here tonight from talking about safety in Campo, but it seems to me like it would be a place where maybe we could get some help. But I'd love to see, maybe use this as a
almost a catalyst.
Catalyst, yes, to move forward with some positive infrastructure in the Lincoln Heights neighborhood as well. We had Commissioner Haynes over here talk about access to some of these commercial properties, and I think this whole area is going to benefit. You got the attorney, Mr. Adcock, here. He won't have to, he can just drive from downtown Wilburn to East Wilburn to do his shopping, hopefully. So there's a lot of the community that's excited about this, but those are just my thoughts on it.
And that money does sit in a account to be held for future projects too, Charlie. So that's exactly right. I think that's what we all would expect that to be.
Well,
with grant money.
The reason I bring it up, I don't want it to go toward. I want that money to be spent in right there where. That's my intention tonight, and I think that's the developer's intention. Is that's where the money's going to be spent, and that's what my point is. I want to make sure that that's what the town's and the staff's intent is as well. So
that's a very, very good point on that, Charlie. And when we have at budget time ready to fund it with additional money needed, we'll put it to work.
You'll have my vote.
Have your vote. That's good to hear on that. One comment I'm going to make on his before we open up the public hearing, Pam, right there, just for anyone in the public doesn't. Often we get asked in Fuquay-Varina, well, it's interesting. I get a water bill from Fuquay-Varina, but my address says Holly Springs or Apex or Raleigh or something different. But by the way, I go vote in Fuquay-Varina too, but I really actually live over here. And to clarify what Charlie's talking about there is, on your mailing address, the town that's listed, that's the post office location and actually brings you your mail. But it does not necessarily mean that you're a resident of that town. And so what Charlie's talking about is if the Holly Springs Post Office services this location with mail, then often residents in that neighborhood will say that they live in Holly Springs, but you really don't live in Holly Springs, you live in Fuquay-Varina. And so that's always a point that we try as elected officials in any town is prefer the post office name to match where you live at. So it keeps everybody on the same page and understanding that. However, our brilliant federal government controls that process right there. And so that's what Charlie's talking about with Pam and encouraging them to try to have the right post offices lined up for that, to keep that confusion out right there in regards to it. But I do agree with you where that location is. I know what y'all were talking about there a moment ago. I believe that's hopefully already Fuquay-Varina Post Office servicing that to keep that clear. But thank you very much. The hearing is now continued. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the voluntary annexation petition? Thumbs up works, John. I've known John a long time. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of the voluntary annexation petition? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the voluntary annexation petition? The hearing is now closed. Any discussion by the board? If so, we'll entertain a motion so moved.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make one more comment. The developers, the whole group that's here tonight, you all were able to get the neighbors on board with this project, and several of them came here and came to other meetings and spoke in favor of it. I want to tell you thank you very much, because this job up here where we're sitting tonight and the decisions that we've had to make would have been a lot more difficult if the neighborhood was telling us to not do it. So I want to thank you all for working with the neighborhood. That's one thing that we expect, is to work with the neighbors and try to get the neighbors on board. And I want to tell the folks that came here, even though I know y'all were frustrated with us, I want to tell you, you did what you were supposed to do, and I appreciate your involvement, and I do think that we've come to a good end with it. And I'll just make the motion here to annex the property into the town of Fuquay-Varina. Motion to adopt the annexation ordinance to extend the corporate limits of the town of Fuquay-Varina to include property owned by the Ball, David W. Trustee, Lynette S. Vaughn Trust, FBO, Gerald K. Vaughn, ANX 2023-08, as presented and recommended.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, John, tell them to get to work. Thank y'all for your time tonight. Seriously.
Thank you.
There are no other public hearings scheduled for tonight's meeting. Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. What is the board's pleasure on the items on the consent agenda? Motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. No items removed from consent agenda. Item 10A, Administrative Report Contract Award and Project Ordinance Amendment BL-0038 Jones Street Sidewalk. More information about agenda item will be presented by Engineering Director Poland. Mr. Traffic Fixer. You're well on the way. I told Matt earlier today that several of our intersections and roads been driving by that we've been approving at meetings here the past 90 days. There's been a ton of them, and there are several of them. Now, let me rephrase, Matt, as you may talk, every one of them have something going on at them right now.
That's good.
And so that's great. On the way. And here you got another project going to help get done.
Yes, sir. I would like to submit this agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official record of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider approving the project ordinance amendment in the amount of $300,000 and awarding a contract for the construction of the Jones Street Sidewalk Project BL0038 to Pecos Construction Incorporated in the amount of $682,534.25. The project is making improvements along East Jones Street, just right outside here of Town Hall, in between North Main and Woodrow Street. It's approximately 1,200 linear feet of new sidewalk, curb and gutter, storm drainage, minor paving and striping. We had a total of 6 bids at the bid opening. The total, and we do have a fiscal note, the total project cost is going to be approximately $1.2 million. The town had originally established a project ordinance of about $906,000. Due to increased construction costs, additional funding is needed to complete the project. To date, town has incurred costs for project design, NCDOT fees, right-of-way utilities. And so the staff is requesting via Project Ordinance Amendment 2510, $300,000 to be transferred from the 2024 GO transportation bonds to cover the increased project costs. The town has requested additional funding from Campo and received an additional $300,000 at a 50-50 match, which is $150,000 from Campo, $150,000 from the town matching it. And so this project was originally awarded in 2019 and 2020 with LAP funding, but because of COVID-19, because of the DOT budget shortfalls, we ended up not getting awarded our funding until fiscal year 22-23. So, but yeah, we're excited to get this project going. It's right here next to Town Hall and increasing connectivity in our downtown area.
Is it being built within the existing right-of-way, or was
We had
right-of-way
to-
having to be?
We had to acquire some additional easements and right-of-way.
You did?
Mhm.
Has that all been taken care of?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Matt, the $1.2 million for the project, about half of it goes to construction costs, the other half is right-of-way acquisition and design and everything related to that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yep. So that's what, as we put budgets together on things, it's never simply just what it costs to buy the asphalt and pipes. So, and y'all did a good job of estimating on that, just talking about general project budgets. There's more to it than just a construction cost. Let's not hold up Matt. Entertain a motion, so moved.
Mayor Massingill, I move that we approve a project ordinance amendment POA 2510 in the amount of $300,000 and to award a contract for the construction of the Jones Street Sidewalk Project, BL 0038, to Pecos Construction Company Incorporated in the amount of $682,534.25, and authorize the town manager to execute the contract on behalf of the town, subject to the town attorney's review as to form.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Matt, do you have any further comments you want to add?
I just wanted to say that construction is estimated to begin in the spring, and it'll take approximately 12 months.
All right. Tell them to get to work.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Next item, agenda 10B, downtown generational plan. More information about the agenda item will be presented by our junior deputy town manager, Seymour.
Mayor, always thank you for that introduction. Commissioners, good evening. Glad to be with you. Glad to be presenting this item. So the purpose of my agenda item is to present the downtown generational plan, hopefully for adoption. The final plan. So what I plan on doing tonight is going through, following up on a presentation that was provided to you all on August 20th, and then just briefly presenting that or recapping that, and then ultimately talking about the public feedback that we received since that meeting, since we posted this on Let's Talk Fuquay. Again, on August 20th, Austin Bowman, who is here tonight, Austin, hey, there you go, with McAdams, who worked tirelessly with us, with staff and members of the downtown community businesses to get this plan up and going. And so I'd like to thank him. And also next to him is Christy Valamore, our downtown development manager. And of course, you all heard from Kelly, which the FEDA is in support of this project. And I would just like to say thank you to the FEDA. They've been very strategic in helping us from day one. And then ultimately, once the plan was presented to them in draft format, they helped us craft the final version that you all will be seeing tonight. So thank you for that, FEDA. Again, when we put this plan together, taking several of the guiding principles and what is needed to ultimately make this plan come to fruition, again, it's going to serve as a blueprint for what we need to do in order to strategically plan, budget, and articulate the projects and initiatives that we want to accomplish throughout downtown. This is a plan that is inclusive instead of exclusive. It's inclusive for those that are not only downtown, but those that are external to downtown, those that live in our surrounding areas. But then also the goal is to attract people that necessarily don't work here and live here to our downtown to participate in all the amenities and services that we provide. In addition to that, making sure that we present a downtown generational plan that correlates and works very well and on the backbone of the 4 pillars of the National and North Carolina Main Street program, which is economic vitality, design, organization, and promotion. Again, we're very fortunate to be a nationally accredited Main Street program and a North Carolina Main Street program. So again, as we're building these principles and the vision for this document, that was always the backbone of helping us put this together. Community engagement input. This is always extremely important and strategic when you're putting a plan of this magnitude together. From the onset, from the time that the town board said go ahead and do it, we started to engage members of the public. We held several community meetings. We held pop-up engagements, not only at the early onset of the project, but also since the August 20th presentation. I know Christy and our former economic development director, and even Susan Weiss, worked several of the events, several of the concert series to get feedback and ultimately connect with those citizens to let them know what's going on and what plan is being presented. The online engagements, the Let's Talk FV, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Business owner focus groups, meeting with the various business owners downtown, having those one-on-one meetings with them was very important to get their feedback in a smaller, more informal setting. And again, meeting with the FEDA throughout this course, they've helped us bring a lot of the businesses to the table and a lot of that strategic input, them being a all-volunteer organization. And at the end of the day, what we're hoping that the FEDA will do, and of course they've told us they will already do this, is become an ambassador for this program to help us be able to articulate and convey the information that we're putting before you tonight. Transformative places. On August 20th, and also you find in the plan, Austin talked about the Piney Woods Park, again, having that one park. What is that one anchor for downtown? What we need to do to get that on our radar. Again, it may not happen today, may not happen tomorrow, may not happen for 10 years, but at some point we got to plant that flag and say, look, we need this downtown park. I can tell you a couple weeks ago, myself, my wife Valerie, and my 2 boys, my twin 7-year-old boys, we went to Cary and we spent 3 hours in the downtown park. We spent 3 hours in that park, 12:30 to 3:30. Pretty interesting. I was very impressed. Of course, I had seen the park, but we went to every element of that park, and it was pretty cool. We couldn't stay for the concert series that was going to take place at the amphitheater, but I am more so convinced now, having spent 3 hours in that park. I was able to hang out with my wife, have a good time, and the kids were able to play. They got a lot cool entertainment center and outdoor activities for the kids. And really, it's something for all ages. So I can tell you, having been there, and if you haven't been there, I encourage you to do it. But any municipality that has a downtown park of that magnitude, it serves as an anchor to draw people that work downtown, live downtown, throughout the community, or just me going from Fuquay to Cary, knowing that the park was there. Very cool. So again, I'm more convinced that we need some type of park there, or park in our downtown, excuse me. Also talked about the Junction Mixed Use District. The importance of this, and again, we'll talk a little bit about Let's Talk Fuquay and some of the comments we received, but the number one comment that we received on Let's Talk Fuquay was, you need to physically connect the 2 downtown districts. And I was glad to hear that, because going back to 2017, 2018, we've been talking about how we physically connect the 2 downtown districts, whether you go over the railroad, whether you go under the railroad. At one point, we even put forth we had a cost estimate on a very expensive tunnel to go under the railroad to connect the 2. But nonetheless, it demonstrates that we're all thinking on the same page, and that connectivity is very important. The Junction Mixed Use District, again, is that good area that could link the 2 districts, and also incorporates a commercial element to it and a mixed-use element that introduces various types of housing that will be beneficial to ultimately keeping people downtown. And then the Mineral Spring District, and what you could incorporate into that with new commercial, and then also how do you better integrate the historic element with the public art element, and also continue down the path of community engagement and what you need to do to ultimately attract people to downtown for events and activities and community engagement. So, one of the other comments that we received in Let's Talk Fuquay was the Fuquay-Varina Emergency Food Pantry. Again, let me be very clear. This rendering that you see before you, like every rendering that is in that, or that is in the Downtown Generational Plan, is just a concept plan. It's just trying to set the vision of what could potentially happen. Again, you see there's no engineering, there's no architecture. That is just simply, okay, town needs a downtown park. It will be integral to what you do and realizing your downtown plan. And so one of the, several of the comments, and people were very strong about it, and staff wants to be cognizant of that. And so, again, what we've done is we've, in the updated Piney Woods Park plan, we've removed the portion of the parking and then the entertainment area, and those three buildings that you see there are existing buildings, which includes the food pantry. So those that may be listening online and those that will eventually look at the plan, just want to let them know that we've taken that out to where we built the Piney Woods Park, the food pantry will remain there, and so will those other businesses down below. Okay, just wanted to note that. We went ahead and made that, and that is reflected in the plan, in the downtown generational plan. We've also, again, where you see the Academy Village, at one point the kids' play area was there, and someone in the Let's Talk Fuquay had made the statement that why do you have a kids' playground so close to the intersection? And again, it's a conceptual rendering, but we went ahead and moved it more inner towards the portion of the park. So again, wanted to let you know that that is reflected. And you see throughout the downtown generational plan, we got recommendations for streetscapes. Again, great recommendations, and ultimately what you need to do for that community engagement. How do you make more of the roadways more walkable, more safety, more transient? And again, the focus on the streetscape improvements were for the primary streets, the secondary streets, because again, we're not just concerned about Main Street, but we're concerned about those secondary streets, those streets that will bring you in and out of downtown from those surrounding areas. And then how do we go ahead and program some of the festival streets? Plan notes, and you all know this, staff know this, the community knows it, we do a really good job of programming events downtown. We got a real active, good public-private partnerships that get that done. And so where should we actively create some of those festival streets? How do we make it more walkable? Let's talk Fuquay public comment. That was something that came back was, let's work on the secondary streets. Let's widen the sidewalks. Let's put outdoor seating. Let's improve. Let's put more trees. How do you make it more walkable was part of that process or part of that feedback. Transportation, improving intersections. How do you make some of these intersections more highly visible? Do you need to do traffic beacons or roadway beacons? Do you need to do high visibility crosswalks and where you could potentially put those? Establish a downtown rail trail. This is something a lot of people in the public comment period really like, the ability to not only have that rail trail in downtown, but then also how can you connect to the nearby neighborhoods to where it not only becomes an amenity for someone that wants to park and drive downtown, but how can you walk there? How can your greenway system connect to that, your sidewalk system? That was something that a lot of people are very interested in seeing the town advance. Parking. Parking was another comment. Not only do you need to maybe focus on the surface lot, but maybe structured parking, parking decks, again, as more amenities come online, and even with the existing amenities we have, parking is still something that is very important to the public. And then again, how do you improve the multimodal component, pedestrian safety, bicycles, cycling downtown? That's something that a lot of people are interested in seeing us advance. Historic preservation and focus. Establish internal historic preservation working group. Again, some of these initiatives, there were over 90 actionable items that we could potentially undertake over the course of the plan for generations to come. And historic preservation, a lot of people in the public comment focused on how do you integrate the historical elements of downtown with the new modern buildings that are being built. And that's something that the public wants us to take a interest in and a focus on. How do we engage and educate the community? Something as simple as creating a web page and having somebody actively maintain that promotes our downtown historic elements, and then providing education. Having a staff member that's designated to that historical component, and they are able to tell the town story both internally to the community and externally when necessary. And then economic development. One of the things I thought was really cool was after we performed the consultant performed the economic development analysis, we're able to capture, and we have the potential to get upwards of 185,000 new commercial retail mix in downtown throughout our DC1, DC2 district. That's huge, 185,000 square feet. So again, how do we ready the box for that type of development? This plan gives us a good blueprint in order how to do that. Signage and wayfinding, again, we've already got a great strategic and very visible wayfinding system throughout the entire town. But how do we go ahead and integrate more of a directional signage for the foot traffic in downtown? Programming, I mentioned, and you all know this, we've got a great programming staff that works with our Parks and Rec and the FEDA and the business community, so continue to focus on that and don't lose sight of that as we advance these capital projects downtown. And then public art. Public art was something throughout the that was an element of the public feedback that we got, is like, don't lose sight of the public art, but then also how do you incorporate that into these modern buildings? How can you partner with new developers to see if there's a way to include murals or fountains or statues, something of that that continues to tell that historic preservation story for downtown Fuquay. So let's talk Fuquay and the public feedback. We received 57 written comments, responses. We had 326 visitors. And just to summarize what those comments included, accessibility, walking and connection, there's an emphasis for accessibility. How do we make the downtown areas more walkable? Desire for better connectivity between Fuquay district and the Varina district. Again, that was the #1 comment that was provided throughout the public feedback. Preservation of small town charm and historical character, maintaining the historical character and charm of downtown Fuquay-Varina among modernization efforts, preserve existing buildings and landmarks, and work with new developments as they come in. Balancing growth, balancing the town's growth is very important with the new developments. Parking and traffic management, traffic flow. This is something that I know I've heard comments on as well. Is you got a lot of truck traffic, you got a lot of commercial traffic that comes downtown. Is there a way to potentially divert that from your downtown? And that's something that, you know, again, trying to keep that vehicular traffic to a minimum and redirecting that commercial traffic flow. Need for improved parking solutions to include parking decks and better planned infrastructure to support growth. So as we talk about vertical mixed-use development projects, as we talk about larger footprints for projects, we need to make sure that we strategically incorporate those parking elements in order to not only meet and service that specific project, but the ancillary development and the ancillary uses around that one anchor project. Support for green space in public areas, public parks, green space is very important. Enthusiasm for public art. Community engagement. So one thing that's really cool about Fuquay, and you all know this, is that we've got a very engaged downtown community. And one thing that they love is being able to participate in any of the decision-making process, but also when we come up with plans, and that's why we've been very fortunate to have not only the FEDA, but the businesses and the residents in downtown be a part of this plan. So they were very fortunate. They've told me they're very fortunate to be part of the process, and so what they want is, as we advance initiatives in this plan, to continue to engage them throughout the process. Transformative places, we talked about the 3 places, the Mineral Spring District, the Junction mixed use, and then the Piney Woods Park. So there were some mixed feelings about the specific location of the park. Everyone agreed that a park is a great thing, but you know, to the extent and the possible location of where that park was presented, again, in consultation with the developer, we said, look, with everything else going on that's very central, it makes sense, a great place for a park. Look, this is a generational plan. At the end of the day, whether the park's there or park's there, can't tell you where that's going to be, can't predict the future. We can just hope to plot the course with the understanding that a park of that magnitude is needed and wanted throughout downtown. Support for economic growth and housing options. There's a lot of interest in expanding high-density residential and bringing that to downtown. And many of the comments was a variety of housing helps produce affordable housing. So that's comforting to knowing that the public thinks along the lines of us as in staff is for what we've been trying to do when we talk about advancing vertical mixed-use projects where your first floor is commercial and then your floors above are residential. And then how do we continue to attract diverse businesses and keep retail space for small businesses affordable. So that's something that a lot of people are interested in, making sure that we continue that trend in downtown. So what's next? Well, it'll be put before you tonight for adoption or consideration for adoption. But then, again, this plan is to serve as a blueprint for our budgeting purposes and our strategic decision-making going forward. And every year we go into the budget season, which starts after the holidays. We go and we talk about it. So again, we got a blueprint to look from. And again, there's over 90 possible actionable items here that again, some of them are as simple as creating a web page for the historical element of downtown. The other one is, investing a significant amount of capital into parking infrastructure. And those are the type of things that we'll be able to look to and that we've developed over the course of a year with the help of the public. So, with all that, the motion before the board tonight and the recommendation by staff and management is to adopt the proposed downtown generational plan as presented and recommended. Thank you.
Thank you, Junior Deputy Town Manager Seymour. First comments I would make is, as you mentioned, for the public's listening and engaged on it, what's very true is any business or use that's existing that's right there. This adoption of this plan does not change that. It does not mean that any of them are going out of business or shut down or can't operate tomorrow. It's simply a planning tool for long-term, what we would like, overall, what the public would like to see in their downtown and ways that we can plan for that. And businesses that want to continue to operate as or any use, not to say business, a use that's there can continue on what's there, right there. I think it has a lot of great aspects. I'm glad the public has been involved with it here at the same time. And as you mentioned, talking about a park opportunity in our downtown, that's become a newer future way of downtowns right there and a different way to help drive people in downtown to help support our businesses. As we plan for each of these locations, as you stated, it gives the public a clear understanding of a roadmap of success of what type of uses will be. And then also property owners and investors that want to be involved with Fuquay-Varina know what kind of opportunities we like that we and the public would like to see built in Fuquay-Varina. So I think there's been a lot of feedback, a lot of good things in this plan, and it's a exciting opportunity. I know there's several parcels throughout our downtown that have been expressing a lot of interest with development services here on, and so I think we're going to see a lot of these pieces starting to come to fruition, some in the near future, but we do recognize this is a long-term plan.
Yes, sir.
Any further comments from anybody? If not, we'll
Yeah, I've got a question. Is the, you mentioned under the railroad track, the walking tunnel. Is that still in the plan?
Yes. A connection between the two districts. Now, whether you go over, or whether you go under, that's to be determined. But regardless, the physical connection is in the plan.
Okay. And then you've got a lot of like walking trails along the railroad's path incorporated as well, correct?
Correct.
All right. I was having a conversation with somebody, and all of those things I'm sure you're going to have conversations with the railroad. So the question, the conversation was about right now, the railroad, we had the Campo guy earlier tonight talking about what's unique about your community. One thing, pretty much every community has a railroad, but I mean, it really has always identified our downtowns with traffic difficulty crossing the tracks, and it's just really been, I think, more than most an issue. But here was the discussion. If you're in Varina right now and you're going west on the railroad, the train has two options. It can either go underneath the bridge on Wake Chapel Road and then goes by Action Park. Yeah. And that's a line that I don't even know that they're using anymore because it's grown up with trees.
Right.
Then there's another choice where they can kind of come down to the south and they cross over down at they go across the intersection where Wake Chapel and Main Street are close, and then you've got Railroad. So you've got these two legs. One goes under the road, and we've got a bridge under the road, and one goes over the road down there, and it's a nightmare intersection. The question was, would there be any way to have instead of the spur going to the south immediately from Varina, basically having it go under Wake Chapel Road, under the bridge, and then having the spur come down after that, and then would that allow the crossing down at Wake Chapel Road and Main Street to be removed? I don't know, maybe a crazy idea, but I thought, you know, it might be worth trying to put some folks to look at it, because you're talking tonight about connectivity. If we could get that railroad to be removed across Wake Chapel Road, all of a sudden you'd have a way where you could walk between the districts and not have to cross a railroad, or at least not over the tracks. You'd be going over the bridge. So since we've got so many things in there where I know you're going to have to be dealing with the railroad, that idea seemed, it would be a huge project, I assume, but I think it is worth the discussion, because I think it would make a big difference if it could be figured out how to do that.
Commissioner, I appreciate that, and I don't think it's crazy. So we, part of the plan in there, it recommends for the rail trail is ultimately undertake some type of feasibility to find out what that route would look like. So I was glad to see that in there, and we'll be sure to follow up.
Okay.
Thank you for that comment.
The only other comment, I'm sitting here thinking other comments. The only other comment, we're doing, I think, a good job now. We've started adopting these side paths instead of sidewalks in a lot of areas, and those side paths are, in my mind, multimodal, where, you know, kids can ride their skateboards or their bike or whatever. And I would like for us to be thinking along those lines, in our downtown area, if there was a way we could have wider sidewalks to allow people to, you know, whether it's strollers or skateboards or a bicycle, if we could allow for it, I think it would be helpful, because I don't think walking from downtown Fuquay to downtown Varina, most people aren't going to do that, even if it is a nice, clear walking way. But if they've got a scooter or a bike or whatever, people will make more use of it. So just a thought.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
No further comments? We'll entertain a motion to adopt. So moved.
Mayor Massengill, I don't know if I can say it. I move that we adopt the proposed downtown generational plan as presented and recommended. It's a little bit of an emotional thing for me.
Mayor Pro Tem Gardner, you've been involved with this for quite some time, and so thank you for your hard work and involvement too. So it's been an excellent involvement and a big passion of yours right here. So thank you for your hard work. We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Junior Manager. Next item of the business, 11A, Town Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things to report on tonight with the board regarding the agenda. First of all, as it relates to our Parks and Rec Department, a total of 2,230 people attended the annual Haunted Trail event that was held this past Saturday at the Carol Howard Johnson Environmental Education Park. The event continues to be a huge success and a popular program and event that we offer to the community around this time of year. And I want to thank the Parks and Rec staff for all their hard work to present that event to the community, and all of our volunteers. We had a ton of volunteers from the high school and others in the community, and it was just a really neat thing that we do in our community that you know, is unique to Fuquay-Varina. Not every community offers that type of opportunity around Halloween, so I'm real proud of that. The Art Center, we've had some new part-time staff join the Art Center. Our tech crew, Damian Yance and Jeffrey Peters and Dakaria McCollum have joined the front desk staff, and the Art Center has a few additional part-time positions available that we're looking to fill. Maureen is currently attending the Arts Market in Durham and beginning the process of booking for the 2025-2026 theater season. And this weekend is the Fuquay Film Festival, representing over 24 filmmakers, original short movies, and industry professionals. So some unique things going on at the Art Center right now as well. Some positive news coming out of our fire department. Battalion Chief Dustin Grimes was appointed to the new position of Department Training Officer that was approved in this year's budget. So we want to congratulate Dustin on his promotion. He's very excited and looking forward to the new challenge. We have job offers to fill 2 firefighter vacancies that will be made this week, with plans to have them start by mid-November to fill those positions. Construction on the 4 new fire engines has finally started. We had some discussion about that at a lunch meeting we had today, just how long it takes for fire trucks to be in production. And we have received the first pictures of the bare metal cabs this past week, so we have evidence that they're actually in production, which is positive. We're still on schedule for late January for final inspection of those vehicles. So a lot of work to be done in the next several months on those 4 fire engines. Captain Josh Herring and firefighter Rodolfo Silva were the second group of firefighters deployed to assist with the cleanup of Hurricane Helene, and they returned safely this past Friday. So definitely appreciative of our fire department staff volunteering and stepping up to serve our neighbors in need in western North Carolina. They were assigned to the Garin Creek Fire Department in Buncombe County, where they saw some pretty unimaginable destruction. Pictures and just sharing of their experience was pretty heartbreaking to see what those folks in that part of our state are dealing with right now. They worked hard and they represented our town with distinctions. We want to thank them for that. Speaking of the fire department, our postponed ISO inspection has been rescheduled for Tuesday, October 29th. So that's back in motion, where we will have our insurance inspection and hopefully continue to have some of the best insurance ratings in the state of North Carolina. And we do, as the mayor mentioned earlier tonight, have our open house this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we're excited about that. 2 new employees started in the police department this week, Brian Williamson and Colby Price. So we want to welcome them to our team. Officer Klein received the Officer of the Year award from the Fuquay-Varina Exchange Club. She was here before the town board at a meeting not so long ago, and so continuing to be recognized for her great police work and also the life-saving efforts that she provided back in June of 2024. I want to thank the Fuquay-Varina Exchange Club for recognizing her great work. Gabe Briley, Ken Campbell, and Xavier High visited the first grade classes at Lincoln Heights Elementary to talk about recycling and sanitation collection. So we're in the schools teaching kids at a young age about the importance of recycling and sanitation collection. And our fleet manager position has closed from the intake of applications, and the interview schedule process is beginning. The proposals for the design of the Public Service Center Phase 2 expansion project have been evaluated, and we'll be interviewing the finalists this week for that work. Our IT department was recently, the town, through our IT department, was recently awarded a $185,000 grant from the State and Local Cybersecurity Grant Program. These funds will be used to upgrade our firewall infrastructure and other systems to increase our cybersecurity posture, which is ever more important in today's environment. The Planning Department is excited to be bringing the 2040 Community Transportation Plan along with the Land Development Ordinance Amendment and revisions to the engineering specifications to our November 4th Town Board meeting. So be on the lookout for that information in the near future. Our engineering department received FHWA construction authorization for the downtown Varina pedestrian improvement project this week, and staff anticipates advertising this project next week. Bids will be opened in December, and an agenda item will be brought to the town board for award in January if all stays on track. Construction is anticipated to begin in the spring of 2025 and last approximately 12 months. So another great project in the works. We did have a pre-con meeting for the Sanford water filtration facility expansion project this morning, and the groundbreaking event is scheduled for Tuesday, October 29th Hopefully all of you can plan to attend that in Sanford at 10 a.m. And we are selling revenue bonds tomorrow morning for the Terrible Creek wastewater treatment plant expansion project. So continuing to move forward the expansive infrastructure investments that this board has committed to for the future of our community. We're still receiving applications for our Economic Development Director position, and that closes at the end of the month. And our Human Resources Department, through our Risk Management and Safety Division, is working to advance a more robust emergency response plan for the town. This plan addresses numerous facets of how the town will react, both react and be proactive about how we manage emergency incidents as they arise, should they arise. So some great work happening in our departments, all of our departments throughout the town. In addition to that, you do have a quarterly report in the agenda. I'm sorry, I'm going to back up here real quick. A quarterly report in your agenda for first quarter metrics for this fiscal year. There's also some updates to our specification book details. Matt, I don't know if you want to make a few comments about that. I know there's some slides in the agenda materials. If you want to maybe brief the board on that real quickly, while I'll have them up here on the screen regarding our specification updates, just so they are aware.
So a lot of it is just cleaning it up, providing clarifications to the development community. There were a couple of new details that were added for public utilities. All of these were vetted through one of our local engineering firms in town, just to make sure that there weren't any negative impacts or anything that was out of the ordinary. So, but it's mostly just to clean up and clarify our existing specs.
A total of 11 new details. Thank you, Matt. Total of 11 new details have been added. 16 details have been updated to clarify installation requirements and materials. In addition, the Fuquay-Varina Downtown Association Downtown Trick or Treat will be this Friday from 2 to 5 p.m. So a lot of activity expected in our downtown this weekend. Our police department will have a mental health resources event on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Southern Regional Center off of Judd Parkway. Our fire department, again, will have open house on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. as well. The Fuquay-Varina Downtown Association Barbecue Blues and Brews will be on Saturday, November 9th from 12 to 4 p.m., and this will be in the Varina Public Parking Lot in our Varina district. We have a coffee with a cop scheduled at the Hilltop Park Clubhouse on Wednesday, November 13th from 9 to 10 a.m. And there are there is a first reading in your agenda materials, a Town of Fuquay-Varina Land Development Ordinance, LDO update, amendment number 28, and that'll be presented at a future town board meeting, I think on the first meeting in November. So familiarize yourself with that, and if you have any questions along the way, please do not hesitate to let us know. And with that, Mayor, that completes my comments for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager. Board member comments. Commissioner Harris, any comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if I may take a few minutes. I know we have a town retreat that's coming up in February, but I just have had thoughts over the last few days about what I would like to see discussed, not now, but perhaps in the future, if the staff could prepare us for a discussion. And that discussion is around reactivating the committee structure for the board. I think a good example of what we saw tonight in regards to the staff doing their job, and then we as a board having to defend the staff doing their job. There's a thing that I learned in the public administration core curriculum, and it's called the policy administrative dichotomy. And that means sometimes when staff are doing their job, they're doing their job, but if there's a policy issue or a public pressure on them doing their job, a lot of times if we had a committee structure, I think we could add some protection to the staff in regards to them doing their job, because they work hard to provide objective information to us as commissioners that in turn help us. I think doing a committee structure process, there could be ongoing discussion that can probably help the public to understand the process, and then at the same time, information could be shared in regards to a particular issue among the board members as well as the public is aware of it. I don't know whether we could have some kind of hybrid structure where we could have committees called upon every now and then. We do have in our charter recognized committees that can, in some term, when issues are transferred to a committee and a commissioner is in charge, there can be ongoing conversation, and then the public can also be kept abreast during those committee meetings. It gives the staff an opportunity to garner information and to further provide their objective and professional opinion about a particular issue. And I think that that could make us even more effective. And in the long term, I think it could answer, in some instances, questions around transparency and what we do as a governing board. I know the committee, there may be some concerns about prolonging a meeting if we have committee meetings within the context of a board meeting, but I would love for the staff just to consider that as an option in the future. It may be hybrid, is not something that has to be a standing operation, but I think it sometimes in the future, it might be able to help us as we move along. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Adcock, any comments?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up something I was thinking about recently. One of the big topics in Wake County is and it's been this way for a while, is just the pace of development and the loss of farmland, the loss of timberland, and we run into just the community often blames us for some of that stuff. But I got to thinking about the Wake County agricultural districts, and these are people that they voluntarily said, we want this to be a farm or timberland or whatnot. They volunteered to be in that program in the agricultural districts. And I don't know if in the past we've really tried to compare what they're telling everybody to our land use planning. And it may be a situation where we need to match up. If they've said this is what it is, I think we probably need to honor that. And our land use plan needs to show that, would be my thoughts. But it may be something we need to discuss at a board retreat. But it's just a thought I had that, if we've got these folks that's the commitment they're kind of saying that we are an agricultural district, it's something that we need to respect and figure out more ways to show them that we appreciate them and they're being part of the community. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Commissioner Wunsch, any comments?
Yes, thank you. As tonight we considered and passed the downtown generational plan, but one of the things I was thinking about was just how successful our concerts have continued to be that we've had in our town. Even this last one, where it was cold outside, when I went down to the concert, I was like, well, there may not be as many people because of the temperature outside. And it was packed. I mean, just absolutely packed. The weather did not stop people from coming out. And that just shows the excitement, the trend to congregate downtown together. And it's just awesome when we all come down together and congregate to have fun like that. And so I felt like the concerts have been a huge success this year. They continue to grow. And it just, I've just been thinking a lot. It shows how successful and positive these organized efforts are to bring people together in our downtowns. And I thought tonight, the passage of this downtown generational plan, you know, is definitely a tremendous thing, and thank you to all who put the hard work and time into getting it to where it is, and getting the public feedback, I think was really super. So that's just very much appreciated, that we're at this point. And I feel like it gives us a foundation to do so many things in the future, and a vision in writing, that, as you've said, it's a document that can change, but it's there, and it's something to continue to work with. There are a number of just fun events. I mean, we continue to have so many fun events in the town, or, you know, that were sponsored through the chamber this past week, and also got the opportunity to attend Willow Springs' first homecoming game. And I've never seen so many people in the stadium. It was, speaking of packed, it was absolutely packed. They crowned their first homecoming king and homecoming queen. And it's just great to see all this progress and the growth of our community. And I just love to see everybody come together for such positive things. So thank you again to the town for working so hard on the Vaughn project, and for the back and forth, and to getting us to such a good place that we're at. You know, we're really blessed to have, you know, I've always said this, an extremely good town staff, but experienced. You all know what you're doing. You've done it for years, and we appreciate the information you give us to make good decisions. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wunsch. Commissioner Haynes, any words of wisdom?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. As we've heard so many people tonight, we hear the passion and the love for this town, just in everything we decide, think about on a daily basis, from the downtown generational plan to the economic development plan, to even the things we pass today, from even thinking about the agricultural side of our town, to so many things. Just amazing just to hear. I mean, even when you talk about the town, you know, everything you just said is just hearing the passion and love that we have for Fuquay-Varina, you know, especially when some of us are been here pretty much been here all our lives. Even just hearing one of my classmates, Dustin Grimes, you know, being elevated to a new position, is just, you know, amazing to see that love that we have for this town that we grew up in. So many of us grew up in. So it's just amazing to hear that. I was able to speak this past week. There's a group of our faith-based community who are working with the Ormond Center out of Duke Divinity School, and I was able to speak for them. They have a cohort going on in the town of Fuquay-Varina that has moved all over multiple states, that focuses on thriving communities and how they can truly meet the needs of the community past what we do on a daily basis. So that was amazing just to see, and I can't wait to see where they see that need that we might oftentimes overlook in our community, that they can, that as a faith-based community, can actually meet together and actually work towards it. It was housed at First United Methodist Church, so that was a great event just to see that not just us have that passion, but our faith-based communities and so many of our citizens, and even hearing from our downtown association today, just the passion, and seeing that video of economic development, just the passion of all these people who've made their stake as a business owners in the town of Fuquay-Varina. So that brings joy to your heart every day, just to know that you serve in this amazing community.
Commissioner Haynes, thank you for those comments. Mayor Pro Tem Gardner, any comments?
It's just been every time we come, it seems it's been a really busy time. I love all this activity. We had 3 ribbon cuttings since our last board meeting, which I think is a sign of real vitality in our business community. It's really exciting. I went to one at Burley Boards and found out what that really is, and that's pretty amazing craftsmanship on display and for sale there. And Adolfo and Laura of Fuquay Transportation celebrated 10 years of their business here in Fuquay-Varina, and they have expanded it in so many different ways. I mean, they do a lot of runs to the airport, but they also pick up children in carpool I mean, they just have expanded that business in so many ways that mean a lot to this town. And today, First Bank had their ribbon cutting out on North Broad Street, and that was a whole area out there that is getting ready to just open up. It was really exciting. The Art Center had a group that Maureen she was really thrilled to be having them, and I didn't know anything about them, but it was the Fabulous Equinox Orchestra, and it was kind of a big band, jazzy kind of thing. It was really fun, and I hope we'll have them back. We had our last Follow Me to Fuquay concert, and I'm glad Commissioner Wunsch mentioned it because it was a cold night, and it was a little sparse when I first got there, and then it, gained some, and then as the end of the evening it got colder, but the kids were still getting their faces painted and bouncing all around in that house. It's been an amazing series and we've primarily had good weather for them. This was a really big night tonight, I think, for that project that mixed use project. I'm guessing is of the greatest magnitude of anyone we've had come before the board before, correct?
Correct.
And it had a lot of moving parts and a lot of things that did work well. Charlie, I was glad you mentioned the people that came and spoke, the community members that are, really were behind that project. That was amazing and it's going to be something we'll be working on for years to come here. And then passing finally this downtown generational plan. It's just wonderful. I did, I forgot to put in my comments when I was, thinking of, coming by the different places where you could come in. I forgot to mention places for trolley stop, if I win the lottery. I've always said that's what I'm going to do is fund a whole trolley system to run between the two downtowns and the area out around the post office, that one of these days we're going to need some trolley stops. So that's all I have for tonight.
I like that, Mayor Pro Tem. My lottery tickets don't seem to ever do that well for me, but I like that very much.
I forget to buy them.
I don't forget. They're just negative investment. Thank you for those comments, ma'am. A couple comments to mention. I attended an event for a new event space here in Fuquay-Varina, Donovan's Manor, which is a $8 million investment event venue. It's the largest of its kind in the area, and it's in direct competition right now with
Umstead?
Umstead. I was going to say the SAS one, and that's exactly what I was looking for with the Umstead. And so that's great right here in Fuquay-Varina destination. They're excited that we have a hotel that's about to break ground any day. This board approved it a few months ago, and so they're very excited about that right there, and that's bringing a lot of attention to Fuquay-Varina and really, really good there. Manager, police chief, and I had lunch with Sheriff Rowe week before last. He came to town and had lunch, and he was excited. I know, Chief, he's met you before, but not met you in the role as chief, and so that was we had a good meeting right there on how we can work together and continue good things happening down here and safety-wise, and so appreciate that meeting and that time there. Haunted Trail was mentioned. One last thing before we go to, I know we got a closed session tonight and a late night. The Haunted Trail that was mentioned earlier, Jonathan, we had huge success. I continue to get comments from our citizens that enjoy that event so much right there, and I asked Mark for numbers earlier, and that was over 100 volunteers, and I know, Jonathan, you're aware of these, but for other ones, over 100 volunteers and over 2,300 participants right there all in one night. That's pretty neat and pretty incredible right there. And so I just appreciate y'all's hard work on that, the volunteers that volunteered for it too at the same time, and keep it coming. We were talking at a meeting earlier today, talking about different towns having different Halloween events, and I laughed about it. So my kids this year are 7 and about to be 7 and 9. And last year we keep them to the family section of it, and so they can't be too scary. But they said they wasn't scary enough. So then we went to the scary section, and they enjoy that very much. And so I think the actors go a little light on because they see that they're so young, and the kids, of course, want to be absolutely the hair jumped out of their skin on it. I don't want to deal with them not sleeping for 3 nights in a row, though. So thank you for your team for not scaring them too bad out there. But anyways, great event, done a great job. Town manager, I know we have a closed session recommended. You want to speak to that?
Yes, sir. Closed session is recommended tonight under General Statute 143, 31811A, 3 attorney-client privilege, 4 economic development, 5 property acquisition.
I do have two other things. I told Charlie I wasn't going to talk much tonight, but
You got a long closed
I
session?
got 2 more things.
All right, you got a long closed session, but go
Okay, I
ahead.
forgot to mention that Heister Automotive, for the 3rd year in a row, their Heister Cares Foundation sponsored a 5K walk run to benefit the American Federation for Suicide Prevention. And they made the largest single donation to the our North Carolina chapter of the Heister, the American Federation for Suicide Prevention, $100,000.
Wow.
Presented the check. It was held at our high school, and it was amazing. They let me say a few words, which y'all know I just don't say just a few. But anyway, that was wonderful. And when you started talking about this Donovan project, our museum board were invited to hold to come for a visit, and they let us have our monthly meeting at the old Cardenas School, where it is currently located. And 2 really energetic young women are turning that into a bed and breakfast with hope down the road of jumping through the hoops so that it can be an event for a place for small events. And it is really nice. It is going to be amazing, and they are part of this group. Really, it was very interesting. So just had to say that. I'm sorry.
No problem at all. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Manager?
So the recommended, again, is attorney-client privilege, property acquisition, economic development.
Entertain a motion, so move.
Second. Oh, get them up.
You are the motion. Who's the second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Take a brief recess. Got a very closed session, so hurry back.
What a power pack.
You didn't say so much, but it was.